A very good afternoon and a warm welcome. This is Eswatini TV and you are tuned into your favorite tele-education program, Home Study. My name is Lirato Mabilisa and as always, I am with my colleague Nogwazi Dlamini. A very good afternoon, Nogwazi.
A very good afternoon, Lerato, and a very good afternoon to our viewers, and welcome to Home Study. We're hoping that you are having a beautiful Friday afternoon and you are going to enjoy the day of learning.
I hope so too. Speaking of learning, grade 7s, Form 3s and Form 5s, your timetable for today looks like this. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we will have Siswati. And then from 2:30 p.m. until 3:08 p.m. we will have science. From 3:08 p.m. until 3:45 p.m. we have English language. From 3:45 p.m. until 4:25 p.m. it's mathematics. And then the last subject for today is English language from 4:25 p.m. until 5 p.m.
Yes, learners, that's how the day looks like for you. And just a reminder to you guys at home that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number to ask those questions. Please text us, do not call us or send us audios. All right, before wasting any time, Lerato will be right back with the grade 7 Siswati teacher, Zinhle Masugu. We will be right back after this.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Anginivusele babukeli ngiphinze nginemukele eluhlelweni lwenu lwekufundza usekhaya pheceleti i-home study. Libito lami ngingilirato wakamabilisa, kanti ke kulesikhathi samanje ngihamba naye thishela wesiswati selibanga lesikhombisa Zinhle Masuku. Ngikuvusele ngiphinze ngikwemukele ehlelweni mem.
Yebo Lerato unjani?
Ngiphilile unjani wena?
Ngiyaphila nami.
Okay. Ngabe yini sifundvo sanamuhla futhi umbukeli yini labhekeke ukuthi abe akufundzile ekupheleni kwesifundvo?
Sifundvo setfu sanamuhla Lerato sidabe sibuka ukubhalwa kwendzaba mpikiswano. Ekupheleni kwesifundvo setfu mfundzi ubhekeke ukuthi ukhone kunika tinhlobo letine tetindzaba, ukhone kunika tingoni letisakhiwo sendzaba mpikiswano, ukhone kusebentisa lulwimi lwesiswati ngalokuvakalako, uphindze mfundzi ukhone kubhala indzaba mpikiswano ulandzela timphawu tekubhala letifanele.
Okay ma'am, ngaphandle kwekucitha isikhathi ngicela uqhubeke nesifundo sakho futhi ngicela nekuthi sifake umfutho khona sifundo sethu sitabang nanzi.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Lerato. Sifundo sethu sanamuhla mfundzi njengoba sekachazile Lerato kubhalwa kwendzaba mpikiswano. Thishela wakho lo naye nguzinhle Masuku welibanga lesikhombisa. Singakachubeki mfundzi nesifundo sethu ngitawucela usonzetele ibhuku lakho lekubhalela kanye nepen. Bumcoka balesifundo sethu sanamuhla mfundzi kuthi sitakulolonga siphindze sikucije kabanti ngekubhalwa kwendzaba mpikiswano. Sitawuphindze sikunike likhono lekuveta umbono wakho uwusekele ngalokuvakalako uphindze uwumelele. Asiphindze mfundzi wami sibuke kuthi yini lebhekeke kuwe njengemfundzi ekupheleni kwesifundo. Ubhekekile mfundzi ukuthi ukhone kunika tinhlobo letine tetindzaba. Uphindze ukhone kunika tingoni letisakhiwo sendzaba mpikiswano. Uphindze mfundzi ukhone kusebenzisa lulwimi lwesiswati ngalokuvakalako. Uphindze ke mfundzi wami ubhale indzaba mpikiswano ulandzela tinyathelo tekubhala letingito. Singakachubeki ke mfundzi nesifundo sethu sanamuhla ngitawucela sesibuke kuma kweliphepha letfu lekucala loku ngikhona mfundzi sitawutfola khona tindzaba. Liphepha lekucala mfundzi lehlukene ngetigaba letintsatfu. Kunesigaba sekucala lapho khona mfundzi kutfolakala kubhalwa kwetindzaba. Kunemibuto lemine wena mfundzi ukhetha ube munye ubhale ngawo indzaba. Kube nesigaba sesibili lokubhalwa kwencwadzi. Imibuto mibili mfundzi ukhetha ube munye ubhale ngawo incwadzi. Sibese siba nesigaba sekugcina lokubhalwa lokucondzisiwe. Mfundzi tinhlobo tetindzaba letifundwa kuleli banga lesikhombisa tehlukene kane. Sinendzaba lecocako, indzaba lechazako, indzaba mbono kanye nendzaba mpikiswano. Lokungiyona ke mfundzi wami sitayibuka kabanti kuleli langa lanamuhla. Indzaba ke mfundzi kude sithi yindzaba iphelele kufanele kuthi ibe naletimphawu. Kufanele kuthi ibe nesihloko mfundzi lesibhaleke kahle kuphela. Iphindze ibe nesingeniso naso lesibhaleke kahle. Kube nemtimba mfundzi lowehlukaniswa tindzima. Sibese iba naso siphetfo mfundzi. Ingaba nato tonke ke letimphawu mfundzi sibese sithi yindzaba lephelele. Yini ke mfundzi inhloso yekubhala indzaba mpikiswano? Kuthi mfundzi wente lotawufundza indzaba yakho naye abone njengawe. Kwesibili kumtshengisa lotawufundza indzaba yakho kuthi licembu lophikisana nalo likabi kangakanani. Umcondvo walo ukabi ngani. Lulwimi ke mfundzi lolusetjentiswako uma sibhala lolu hlobo lwendzaba kufanele kube ngulolunemfutfo mfundzi. Wendele ukuthi naye ate ubona njengawe. Luphindze lukhone kugqizelela. Luphindze ke mfundzi lukhangise loko lokholelwa kuko wena njengembhali. Indzaba yetfu ke mfundzi kude siyibhale ucala ngekuhlatiya umbuto. Cala ngekuhlatiya umbuto wakho mfundzi uwufunze uwubone ukuthi nembala umbuto wami ufuna ngibhale loluhlobo lwendzaba lesithi yindzaba mpikiswano. Ucale ke mfundzi ufunze umbuto ubese uyawubona. Umbuto waloluhlobo lwendzaba lesithi yindzaba mpikiswano uvama kuba nalamagama lakathi vumela nobe uphikise lombono. Ngalawa magama ke mfundzi so uyayibona indzaba lokufanele uyibhale ukuthi ngibhala luhlobo lwendzaba lokuyindzaba mpikiswano. Nasi sibonelo sethu mfundzi sembuto. Sithi zondle ulusito etikolweni. Vumela nobe uphikise lombono. Sesiyabona ke mfundzi ngalamagama lawa lalapha kuthi sitawubhala luhlobo lwendzaba loluyindzaba mpikiswano. Mfundzi usabhala indzaba yakho kufanele kuthi ucale ngekubhala sihloko. sihloko phela mfundzi simcoka kakhulu sisibhala emgceni wekucala sigcame kufanele mfundzi sibonakale ngoba phela sihloko ngiso lesitshela lotawufundza indzaba yakho ukuthi indzaba ingani nakafundza lesihloko uyabona ukuthi indzaba yakho ikhuluma ngani. Sihloko ke mfundzi sisiqalisa ngafeleba ekucaleni kuphela bese siyasidvebela kanye. Kufanele ke mfundzi ukuthi uma ubhala sihloko uqale ngekubhala sihloko ubese uyadvebela. Asiqali mfundzi ngekudvebela sibese siyabhala ngoba kuyenteka lilayini lakho bese libalidze kunesihloko sakho. Nasi ke mfundzi sibonelo setfu sesihloko sithi zondle ulusito etikolweni. Sisebenzisile ke mfundzi feleba njengoba sishido ekuqaleni lapha kuzondle sasho ukuthi zondle ulusito etikolweni. Sadvebela mfundzi kanye njengoba ubona saqala ekuqaleni kulofeleba wazethi sayogcina ekugcineni lapha kugcina sihloko setfu khona mfundzi. Uthi ungasibhala ke mfundzi sihloko sakho ubone ukuthi sibhaleke kahle ubese weca umuca uba munye ubhala singeniso. Singeniso mfundzi yindzima yokucala yendzaba. Ngulapho khona lobhala indzaba aveta kafisha indzaba yakhe ukuthi ikhuluma ngani. Singeniso salolu hlobo lwendzaba mfundzi siba namdlonseni kube neluhlangothi lolusekelako wena njengembhali uvete ukuthi usekela luphi luhlangothi ibese iba nesendlalelo. Nasikhuluma ngamdlonseni mfundzi nguloku lokutawuheha lona lotawufundza indzaba yakho. Kumende afuna kuyifundza sikubhala kube sekucaleni ate ukhona kuyifundza ayigadze indzaba yakho. Tindlela ke mfundzi tekubhala mdlonseni. Nasikhuluma ngamdlonseni sikhuluma ngalokutawuheha. Kunetindlela tekubabhala bomdlonseni. Singambhala mdlonseni wetfu abe ngumbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo. Singabhala telubalo, singasebenzisa tisho, ungasebenzisa simo selitulu, ungaphindze usebenzise sibonelo. Ungasebenzisa neluphenyo muva. Uphindze ungabhala nembhalo locavile. Asengibekise ke mfundzi uma sikhuluma ngembuto longayidzingi imphendvulo. Ngibekisa sihloko setfu asengithi besithi kuhle kuthatha umfati munye kunekuthatha sithembu. Uma sikhuluma ngamdlonseni longumbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo ungasho ukuthi ngubani longadi ukuthi kuthatha sithembu kufanana nekuthi gubhela lithuna. Lolu luhlobo lwamdlonseni lolungumbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo. Awusho ukuthi udzinga abantu baphendvule kodwa indlela yakho yekuheha lotawufundza indzaba yakho. Singaphinza mfundzi sisebenzise telubalo. Nasisebenzisa telubalo ke mfundzi kungalesikhathi sisebenzisa tinombolo. Ungasho mfundzi na usebenzisa telubalo uthi bantfu labangemashumi lamathatfu ekhulwini basakholelwa ekuthenini indvodza sibili nguleyo lethethe sithembu. Ngumdlonseni lona mfundzi longilohlobo lesithi ngumbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo. Ncesi mfundzi ngumdlonseni longilohlobo lesithi telubalo. Naku ke mfundzi lokufanele ukunake ngetelubalo. Akukafanele utisusele tinombolo takho enhloko. Kufanele ukuthi mfundzi usebenzise tinombolo lotithathele enfani tsite noma la ufundze khona tsite. Ungaphinza ke mfundzi umbhale emdlonseni abe sisho. Nakusisho ke mfundzi usuke ubeke sisho lesihambisanako phela nendzaba yakho usende sibe ngumdlonseni. Ungaphinza usebenzise simo selitulu ngulapho khona sisebenzisa emagama lafana nekuthi lalina ngisho nasebukhweni betinja netinyamatane, lalibafati badvube inyama, lalishisa likhokha inhlandi yemantini. Ngulo mdlonseni lona mfundzi lesithi simo selitulu. Ungaphindze ke mfundzi usebenzise sibonelo. Nangabe ke mfundzi usebenzisa sibonelo. Angibekise sihloko setfu sithi ingoti leyashwaqisa lugogo. Nangabe usebenzisa mfonseni lo sibonelo mfundzi, usebenzisa letintfo letibanga tingoti, ukhethe kunye lokwabanga lena lofuna kubhala ngayo. Tintfo letingabanga tingoti mfundzi singatibala kungaba kushayela ngelitubane lelisetulu, kungaba kunatha bantfu labashayela badzakiwe, kungaba phenze mfundzi natifuyo letiba semgwacweni nalokunye lokunyenti. Ungakhetha ke mfundzi kube kunye lofuna kubhala ngako indzaba yakho, ukwende kube ngumfonseni lo sibonelo ngekuthi uthi. Ungasho ukuthi etinfeni letihamba embili yakubangeni tingoti kushayela udzakiwe kungulokunye. Lapha mfundzi sisebenzise lo mfonseni lo sibonelo. Siphenze ke mfundzi sibe namfonseni lo liphenya muva. Mfonseni uma aliphenya muva kungalesikhathi wena njengembhali ulandza lokwenteka ekhatsi nendzaba. Ngingeva Lerato unembuto.
Cha ke ngitumbuto nginesicelo singakhona yini ukuthatha likhefu bese phindze siyabuya.
Singalithatha Lerato.
Okay. Mbukeli asesijike ngasetimakethe sitawubuya sichubeke nesifundvo setfu.
Itiko letempilo kwesicwayisile ke ngesifo lesivelile kulamalanga i-coronavirus COVID-19 bagcizelela kakhulu ke kuhlendeka kwetandla lokumcoka ukuthi itandla digezwe. Nawugeza tandla ke bashilo ukuthi digeze lokungenani ama-seconds lam-20 ngemanti lagijimako lanesifo. Lokunye ke labasixwayise ngawo ukuthi latingalweni lingahlala leligciwane udzinga ukuthi letingalo nato utiwashe ungashintshe itandla kuphela for 20 seconds nalamkhathi sinetandla ugeze nakhona litawufa ligciwane kanjalo. Ngiyacela ma-loyal viewers gezani itandla nihlale ekhaya nihlale niphephile sitayinqobe i-COVID-19.
Now, from the moment it was announced that there will be no sporting activities due to the ongoing COVID-19, we all felt that. But imagine how much work you can do in your house just using your chair. It could be anything you have in your house. Take a look at this. From my
Siphindze sinemukele solo sifundza sona sifundvo setfu sesiswati naye Thishela Zinhle Masuku. Ma'am, ungachubeka nesifundvo sakho.
Ngiyabonga Lerato. Bese khuluma ngamfonseni lo liphenya muva. Uma ngabe mfonseni aluphenya muva mfundzi kungalesikhathi umbhali asebenzisa buciko lobutsite ngendzaba yakhe lobendeke ekhatsi nendzaba. Ngibekise bobhala ngemshado lo wabamuhle kakhulu. Ungacala ngekuthi kwevakala kulilitela netinkwela ekhatsi eholeni ngesikhathi siphashaphasha samakoti singene. Lona ngumfonseni lo liphenya muva. Ungaphenze mfundzi usebenzise umbhalo locavile. Uma ke mfundzi sikhuluma ngembhalo locavile ngilokhu lokuya ekusetshenziswe emaphephandzabeni. Uthi ungasibhala ke mfundzi mfonseni wakho uchubeke singeniso sisuke singakapheleli ubese ubhala luhlangothi lolusekelako. Luhlangothi lolusekelako ke mfundzi kungalesikhathi uveta ukuthi wena ungakuphi kulokhu lokukhulunywa ngako. Sibese ke mfundzi sesigcina ngesendlalelo esingenisweni. Sendlalelo ke mfundzi sehlukana kabili. Siba nesendlalelo lesiconzile kanye nesendlalelo lesigegako. Nasikhuluma ngesendlalelo lesiconzile. Ngalesikhathi umbhali aveta emaphuzu akhe latawasebenzisa kusekela umbono wakhe esingenisweni. Kanti uma sikhuluma ngesendlalelo lesigegako kungalesikhathi umbhali angawaveti emaphuzu akhe njengoba anjalo atawuvela endzabeni. Asesibone ke mfundzi nasi sibonelo setfu sesingeniso. Asisifunze kanye kanye. Ngubani longati kutsi lijaha sisu? Noma kukhona labanye bantfu lababona kutsi zondle akadzingeki etikolweni. mina ngithi zondle ulusito etikolweni. Zondle uyabasita abafunzi ngetindlela letinyenti letehlukene. Lapha mfonseni wembhali ufundzeka kanje ngubani longadi ukuthi zondle ngubani longadi ukuthi lijaha sisu. Nasikhuluma ngaloku ke mfundzi, lapha umbhali usebenzise umbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo, waphindze wasebenzisa sisho khona lapho lesithi lijaha sisu. Waluveta luhlangothi lalusekelako ngekuthi athi mina ngithi zondle ulusito etikolweni. Waseke ugcina ngekuveta sendlalelo sakhe lesigegako wathi ngetindlela letinyenti letehlukene. Uthi ungasibhala ke mfundzi singeniso sakho ubese wengcela emtimbeni. Umtimba wenza bambikiswano mfundzi uhlukaniswa tinzima. Letinzima ke mfundzi letintsatfu tekucala tiba nesihloko musho kanye nemaphuzu ekwesekela. Tisekela luhlangothi lolusekelako wena njengembhali. Tinzima letintsatfu tekucala tisekela luhlangothi lolusekelako. Tibese tiba nesihloko musho kanye nemaphuzu ekwesekela. Uma sichumanisa tinzima tetfu mfundzi sisebenzisa emagama lanjengekuthi kwekucala, kwesibili, kwengeta kuloko nalamanye mfundzi lamanyenti kunalawa. Tindlela ke mfundzi tekutfutfukisa sihloko musho sakho. Ungasebenzisa tintfo letenteka mbamba, ungasebenzisa emaciniso, ungasebenzisa telubalo, ungasebenzisa tibonelo, ungasebenzisa imilayeto leconze ngco, tizatfu kubekisa. Kuye ngawe mfundzi usatfutfukisa sihloko musho sakho wakha inzima yakho. Asesibone nasi sibonelo setfu senzima. Sithi kwekucala zondle usita abafunzi labeswele kuthi nabo bakhone kuyisa sandla emlonyeni. Kukhona emakhaya lapho kati alala etiko khona. Zondle uyabasita abantwana bakulawo makhaya kuthi nabo bakhone kuthi kube khona labakufaka etfunjini. Kulenzima yetfu mfundzi siyalibona ligama lelithi kwekucala lelisetshenzisiwe kuchumanisa tinzima. Kuphindze kube neligama lelithi kati alala etiko. Kuthi kati ulala etiko mfundzi sisho lesi sesiswati. Umbhali uthuthukise ngaso inzima yakhe. Waphindze kwaba nalabangakufaka etfunjini lokusisho naso mfundzi. Umbhali usebenzise emaciniso mfundzi kusekela sihloko musho sakhe. Siphindze ke mfundzi sibe nenzima yesine. Letinzima letintsatfu letingenhla mfundzi ngishito ukuthi tisekela luhlangothi lolusekelako. Sibese siba nenzima yesine. Inzima yesine ke mfundzi kulapho khona umbhali aveta liphuzu lelihlangothi laphikisana nalo libe linye bese uyalisekela aphindze abuye aliphikise khona lapho. Emagama lasetshenziswako ke mfundzi kuveta liphuzu lelihlangothi lophikisana nalo ungasho ukuthi ngakulokunye kanti labanye bangasho ukuthi ungasho nokuthi noma kuliciniso ukuthi ngemagama ke lawa ekuchumanisa inzima yesine khombise ukuthi sowukhuluma ngalolunye luhlangothi. Sibonelo senzima yesine. Ngakulokunye labanye bangasho ukuthi zondle ubanga kuhlukubetana kwebafunzi nakulesithi pheceleti yibullying. Ngobe labanye bemuka labancane kunabo kudla babevise buhlungu ngobe bese bavele batitshelile. Lokhu kufana nekwemukwa sinkhwa sesisemlonyeni. Lokhu kuliciniso vele. Kodwa uma bothishela bakunakile kuphakeleka kahle kwebafunzi lokhu akwendeki. Lisetshenzisiwe ke mfundzi ligama lelithi ngakulokunye kukhomba ukuthi sesiveta lolunye luhlangothi lwendzaba yethu. Waphindze wasebenzisa nesisho mfundzi lesithi kwemukwa sinkhwa sesisemlonyeni. kusho ukuthi wemukwa info libe sevele ingeyakho. Sibuye ke mfundzi sibhale siphetfo sendzaba yetfu. Uma ubhala siphetfo ke mfundzi endzabeni loluhlobo lwendzaba lesithi indzaba mpikiswano, ugcizelela luhlangothi lolusekelako mfundzi. Ubese ubhala sendlalelo. Naku ke lokufanele ukunake ngesendlalelo uma sowusibhala esiphetfweni. Uma ngabe esingenisweni sakho bowubhala sendlalelo lesigegako, esiphetfweni ubhala sendlalelo lesicondzile. Uma ngabe esingenisweni sakho ubhala sendlalelo lesigegako, esiphetfweni ubhala sendlalelo lesicondzile. Ubese ugcina ngemiyalo nobe umbuto longayidzingi imphendvulo. Emagama ekuxhumanisa siphetfo naletinye tindzima mfundzi lasetjentiswako, uyangasho ukuthi sengephetha, sengigcina, sengigoqota nalamanye mfundzi lakhomba ukuthi sewuyasonga phela indzaba yakho. Asesibonena sisibonelo setfu sesiphetfo mfundzi. Sengephetha, solo ngemile ngithi Zondle ulusito kakhulu kubafundzi. Zondle uyabasita abafunzi labete kudla, labeswele, nalabahlala buqala nesikolwa. Ungathi tonke tikolwa tingaba naye Zondle. Nasi ke sendlalelo sakhe mfundzi usikhombisile ngekuthi avete emaphuzu akhe njengoba esingenisweni abengakawaveti. Njengoba anjalo waphinze walisebenzisa ligama lelikhomba ukuthi sowuyephetha wathi sengephetha, waphinze wawufaka umbono wakhe lothi ungathi tonke tikolwa tingaba naye Zondle. Kulesifundvo setfu ke mfundzi angeke kulunge ungawutholi umsebenzi. Nanku ke umsebenzi wakho lokufanele ubhale uthi bhala indzaba igcwale likhasi kuye ekhasini nesigaba. Kuhle ukuthi bafundzi bagcoke tinifomu etikolweni. Uthini umbono wakho? Ngumsebenzi wakho ke mfundzi. Sibese ke mfundzi sibuka losikubukile kulesifundvo setfu, sibuka tingoni letisakhiwo sendzaba mpikiswano, sabuka kubhalwa kwendzaba mpikiswano. Mfundzi kude umsebenzi wakho ube muhle, kufanele ukuthi usebenzise lulwimi lolungilo lweSiswati, ufake mfundzi bofeleba lapho kufanele khona, uphinze usebenzise netisho. Kude umsebenzi wakho ube muhle, unake mfundzi ungakhanseli umsebenzi wakho, uphinze uhlikihle lapho ubhale khona.
Bekumnanzi kuba nawe ehlelweni inhlane, ngethemba ukuthi udawuphinza ubuye.
Ngidawuphinze ngibuye.
Okay. Lolandzelako ngumlingani wami Nokwazi Dlamini lotabe anetfulela sifundvo selibanga lemfica pheceleti form 3 iscience. Nenganyakatima form 3 uyabuya Nokwazi.
Bonana, buyeni nigeze tandla sitokudla.
Okay, Mage.
Thabo usebenzisa insimi. Angeke usebenzise amantopfu.
Tandla tami tide umhlaba musinolwazi.
Kuthi tandla takho tide umhlaba kusho ukuthi akukangcono. Kumele tandla sitigeze njalo ngensipho nemanti lahamba ngesikhathi lesingaka 20 seconds njengoba wasifundzisa teacher. Khona kutowesuka kungcola nemagciwane labangakugula.
Thabo, lalela sisi wakho phela Shiva. Kumthoka ukuthi tandla utigeze ngensipho kanye nemanti lahlobile esikhathi lesingaka 20 seconds. Mawutokudla, mawuqedza kusebenzisa umthoyi, mawuqedza kutsinza tilwane, noma mawuqedza kushintsha linabukeni. Kumele futhi sihlande imithoyi netindzawo lesikude ngalokubulala emagciwane.
Sekusikhathi sekugeza tandla, geza tandla, geza tandla emagciwane akana chance, geza tandla manje. Tell mandufa
Sanibonani.
Sawubuyile baba.
Idzaba ndingethelwa nguVictor Slow. Lo mhla sidawuva kabanti ngesifo se-COVID-19. I-COVID-19 sifo lesibangwa ligciwane le-corona. Lesifo sendluliseka ngekuthi emathe laphuma emlonyeni walonaso nakakhohlela noma khuluma awelethe intweni leti kuleyo ndzawo. Bese loyo longanaso utsinza leto tintfo ngetandla aphinza atsinze emehlo, impumulo noma umlomo. Tindlela ke tekunciphisa amathuba ekuthi uthole lesifo se-COVID-19 noma ekusanzisa. Ungalandzela natinyathelo. Geza tandla ngensipho nemanti lahlobile noma usebenzise isanitizer. Tsimula noma ukhwehlelele ngekhatsi kwengcoza loyigobile noma usebenzise liphepha lekufinya. Lelo phepha ubese ulilahla emgqonyeni. Gwema kutsinza emehlo, impumulo nemlomo ngetandla longakatigezi. Gcina sikhala lesinganga 1 meter emkhatsini wakho nalamanye bantfu. Natsa njalo emanti lahlobile utawugcina umtimba wakho ungiloshukumako. Mawutiva ngathi awusiye lophilile, kumbe uyakhohlela, uyashisa noma uphefumula kalukhuni, shayela inombolo lethi 977. Khumbula, hlala uphephile, hlala ekhaya.
Ngiyethemba niyeva ukuthi basicwayisa bathini boshiba. Kumqoka kakhulu ukuthi silandzele tonke letinyathelo kude singatholi futhi singasanzisi lesifo se-COVID-19. Futhi kumele sihlale ekhaya kuze siphephe, niyeva kambe?
Yebo babe.
Welcome back to our viewers and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and this is Home Study on Eswatini TV. Right now it's the Form 3's turn and they are doing science with Miss Lindiwe Fagutse, who is already with me in the studio. Also joining me in the studio are our sign language interpreters Tobile Fagutse and Zanele Mota. How are you doing today, Lindiwe?
I'm good, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Today I understand we're doing coordination
and response.
Yes. Okay, what are you expecting your Form 3 learner to have learned by the end of this lesson?
Okay, in fact, today you're expected to understand the way the organs and system of the body work together efficiently.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Form 3s, I hope you are ready for your lesson. And just a reminder, of course, that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Lindiwe, you may please begin your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Good afternoon, learners at home. Let us look at today's objectives. The first one, you are expected to describe sense organs. Secondly, you are expected to describe the sensory functions of the human ear, eye, tongue, and skin. You are also expected to describe voluntary and reflex actions. Lastly, you are expected to investigate and describe reaction times. So now, since our lesson, dear learners at home, the topic it is coordination and response. You need to understand as to what that coordination is. By coordination, dear learner at home, we mean making things happen at the right time by linking up different body activities. Making things happen at the right time by linking up different body activities. That is what is known as coordination. Because, dear learner, if there wasn't any coordination, what was going to happen? The body activities would be thrown into chaos and disorder. Meaning that when you digest food, when you eat food, you might the food might pass through the alimentary canal undigested, because there will be lack of enzyme secretion. Also, if there wasn't any coordination, both legs might be bent simultaneously in an attempt at walking. So it means that our lesson is very much important. Also, our lesson, it has to do with what? With response. What is response? Response, it is a reaction to a change in the surroundings. a reaction to a change in the surroundings. There are also important concepts that you need to understand under this topic. There is one such as stimulus. What exactly are we talking about when we're talking about stimulus? The plural form, it is stimuli. Stimulus, it is a change to an animal's surroundings. For example, sound, temperature, chemicals. Those are stimuli. And then we have what is known as sense organs. Since we mentioned that one of our objectives will be to describe what a sense organ is. Sense organs are a group of receptor cells that are responding to specific stimuli. Please note, they respond not to just any stimulus, but to specific stimuli such as light, sound, touch, temperature, and chemicals. Those are examples of stimuli which the sense organs respond to. And then we have diagrams of different sense organs or sensory organs. We have first one, sense organ, which is the tongue, which is responsible for the sense of taste. We have the eye, responsible for the sense of sight. We have the ear, responsible for the sense of hearing. We have the organ, nose, responsible for the sense of smell. And then we have our skin, which is responsible for the sense of touch. So these are diagrams showing different sensory organs. Now, what then are the functions of the sensory organs? How do they function? The sense organs, they detect the stimulus. Please take note of that. They detect the stimulus. And how do they do that? By changing the energy in the stimulus into electrical energy of the nerve impulses. They detect the stimulus by changing its energy into the electrical energy of the nerve impulses. For an example, we have the sense organ, which is the eye, and it transduces or converts light energy into nerve impulses. One may wonder as to what exactly are these nerve impulses that I'm talking about. When you are talking of impulses, you are referring to tiny electrical signals. These tiny electrical signals are means by which information is transmitted throughout the nervous system. So the information, it is transmitted as nerve impulses. Now, let us look at an example where you are imagining a situation where you are walking and you see a stone coming at a high speed towards your head. What are you going to do? Probably you'll move your head quickly. You'll duck in order to avoid being hit by the stone. Now, in the example that I have just mentioned, that stone which was approaching, that stone which was moving towards you, it is a stimulus. It is providing a change to your surrounding because you are walking without any care in the world, and then suddenly a stone, it comes approaching towards your head, and then you need to respond. So that stone, because it is bringing a change to your surrounding, it is known as a stimulus. And then you are going to respond. How are you going to respond? By moving to avoid your head being hit by the stone. So that is a response. The movement, it is a response. And the approaching stone, that is the stimulus. It has been detected by your eyes, which are the sense organ. And the response, that is your movement, it is brought by the contraction of muscles in the neck. And these muscles are known as effectors, since they produce what? An effect. The sense organs, and effector organ are linked by the nervous system or the coordination system. Now let us look at this table that we have in front of us with 3 columns. The first column, it is showing us sense organ. Second, stimulus. Third, the third column, it is showing us the energy from which the nerve impulses are transduced, because the nerve impulses, they are transduced from a certain form of energy to nerve impulses. So we have the sense organ, the eye. The stimulus the eye responds to, it is light. The energy from which it is transduced to nerve impulses, it is light as well. The ear, stimulus, sound. Energy from which it is transduced, it is sound. The tongue, the stimulus, that is what it detects, is dissolved chemicals. And the energy from which it is transduced, it is the chemical energy. And then we have our noses. You know that you smell using them. The stimulus there are chemicals in the air. The energy, it is chemical energy. And then we have the skin. Stimulus is temperature. Another one, it is touch. And the energy, it is heat. Now, we have different actions. We have different ways that we use to respond to certain stimuli. And our actions can be divided into 2. We have voluntary actions and we have reflex action. What is a voluntary action, dear learner at home? Voluntary actions are conscious actions which are under the control of our brain. If we decide to do something, then that action, it is classified as a voluntary action. For an example, if you pick up a piece of paper from the floor, that action is controlled by the brain, because you're going to see this piece of paper and then you're going to think, do I have to pick it up or not? And then if you pick it up eventually, then you have decided. So we say such an action is a voluntary action controlled by the brain. Other examples are sitting, running, walking, etc. Such examples are voluntary action. So now let us look at this diagram to find the route taken by the information, the impulses, as they move around our system. So the first part, we have the stimulus. The stimulus, remember we said it is the change to your environment. It is detected by a receptor. Receptor being the sense organ. And then it is detected, changed to nerve impulses, and then it goes to the brain. And then once it gets to the brain, then a message is being sent by the brain now to the effector, telling the effector organ to respond. So this is the route taken when a voluntary action takes place. And then we also have reflex actions. Reflex actions, we say they are involuntary and they are rapid. They are rapid and involuntary response to a stimulus. They do not involve the conscious part of the brain, meaning that they occur automatically without any thought. Such actions, what they do, they minimize damage to the body from potentially harmful conditions. Those are reflex actions. Examples of reflex actions are blinking of our eyes. When you blink your eye, when bright light falls on them, you do not have to think about that. It just happens automatically without the involvement of the brain. And we say such an action is reflex. Also, if you happen to take your hand, you put it on a hot object, put it on a stove, you will quickly remove the hand from the hot object. You won't be thinking, oh, I'm burning, let me remove. No, you just remove it without any thought. That action, we say it is a reflex action. Also, when you sneezing when something irritates the nose, they do not have to think. When something irritates you, then you sneeze. You do not have control over that. And then we have what is known as the reflex arc, what is showing us the road followed by the impulses when a reflex action takes place. So what happens in the diagram, we have our stimulus. Our stimulus in this diagram, it is the heat. When you put your hand on a hot object, the nerve impulses, they travel through the sensory neuron. That's a sensory neuron to the spinal cord. Please note, to the spinal cord. And in the spinal cord, there is this special neuron, which is known as the relay neuron. That relay neuron, it is found in the spinal cord. It takes the message via now another neuron, which is known as the motor neuron, to the effector, being the muscle in the arm, telling the muscle to contract so as to remove the hand from the hit. That is what depicts a reflex arc. We also have what is known as the reaction time. Reaction time. What is reaction time, dear Lena? It is the time between any kind of event and the response it elicits in the system. The time between any kind of event and the response it elicits in the system. That is the reaction time. It is also the time taken by an organism to respond to a stimulus. So you see something happening and then you respond. The time taken to do that, we call that the reaction time. And it is also can be also defined as the measure of quickness of an organism to respond to some sort of stimulus. The speed of your reactions, dear Lena, plays an important part or a large part in your everyday life. Fast reaction times can produce big rewards. For an example, when you are saving a blistering soccer ball from entering the goal post, say you're a goalkeeper standing there, soccer, no, you can relate. So when the reaction time is fast, you can produce a very good reward because you can save your opponents from scoring, stopping the ball from entering the goal post. That is a fast reaction time. Slow reaction times may come with consequences such as causing car accidents. That is reaction time, dear Lena. For an example that will depict reaction time, when a ruler is dropped. When a ruler is dropped, what happens, dear Lena? There is an information which travels from the sensory neuron. Remember, you said the information from the stimuli or the sensory organ, it travels through the sensory neuron along the optic nerve. That optic nerve, it is found in the sensory organ, which is known as the eye. And then it goes via the sensory neuron. The information goes via the sensory neuron to the brain. And what happens? Once it gets to the brain processes this information, then sends a signal now through a motor neuron. Through a motor neuron, down the arm to tell the muscles in the hand to contract and do what? And catch the ruler. Reaction time. Now let us look at an experiment which we can use to investigate reaction time. You may ask one student to be a test subject. So what do? You stand with your arms stretched out, holding the ruler with your thumb and forefinger at the end that starts with 0. And without telling the student, please note, without telling the student that you are going to do it, drop the ruler and the student catches it as quickly as she can between her finger. What do you have to do next? You need to measure the distance on the ruler by recording where the student grabbed the ruler. Repeat the procedure 2 more times. And why do you do that? Why do you repeat the procedure? For accuracy, to increase accuracy of the experiment, and then record the distance of the catch each time. There is a formula, dear learner, that is used to calculate the reaction time. But what you need to know at this stage, it is that if the student has a shorter reaction time, she will catch the ruler at a shorter distance, say 12 centimeters. And if she has a longer reaction time, she will pick the ruler at a longer distance, say 30 centimeters. That is an experiment which is showing us a reaction time. So in the diagram, dear learner, we are having this person holding this ruler. It is showing us the information. So here we have the organ that detects the stimulus. The organ that detects the stimulus, and the information goes to the brain via a sensory neuron, and then back to the effector organ via the motor neuron. Then you catch the ruler. That is the experiment. What are the things that you need to remember, dear learner, at home concerning reaction time? The things, they include the amount of time it takes is what makes up your reaction time. And it is also important to note that reaction time, it depends on eyesight and the speed that the signals take to travel from your brain to your muscles, because you're going to use the muscles to catch whatever object that is falling, if there is an object falling. Also, a person who reacts fast is said to have a short reaction time. A drunk person takes longer to respond to danger. And if the person takes longer to respond to danger, that person is said to have a long reaction time. And this results to road accidents. Those are the things that you need to remember concerning reaction time. Now let us look at the central nervous system. Remember, we're talking about what? Coordination and response. So when we're talking of the central nervous system, we are talking about the brain and spinal cord. The brain and spinal cord, they make up what is known as the central nervous system. So this system, it is made up of specialized cells called neurons. It coordinates the messages traveling through the nervous system. When a receptor detects a stimulus, it sends a message to the brain or spinal cord. The brain or spinal cord receives the message and then responds, sending the response along the appropriate neuron to the appropriate effector. That is the organ which is going to cause a response. So in our diagram, we have the brain and we have the spinal cord. Then we have our neurons, the sensory neurons and the motor neurons. Now, dear Lena, let us look at a question. The first question here, it shows us external features of a boy's face. So here we see a certain feature which is labeled X. And then we ask to state the function. What is the function of the sense organ labeled H? That is question 1. So in order for you to be able to respond to this question, dear Lena, you first need to understand as to what organ is that. The organ which is being shown by H, it is the eye. So what it does is that it perceives the stimuli from the environment. It perceives stimuli from the environment. That was the first question. And then question 2, we are given options in question 2. Which organ senses dissolved chemicals? So we're given the first option being the ear, second eye, third skin, fourth being the tongue. So which one senses dissolved chemicals? So the answer for that one, it is the tongue. Why? Because it is responsible for what? For taste. To taste the chemicals that are found in whatever that we ingest in our mouth. Now the third question, that is question 3. A fly goes straight to Payo's eye. She automatically closes her eye. A fly goes straight to Payo's eye. She automatically closes her eye. State the type of action that is taking place on her eye. The type of action we know because she won't have to decide as to whether to close the eye or not. So which means that there is no involvement of the brain. So it is a reflex action. It is a reflex action. And then B, describe the difference that is observed in the reaction of Payo's eye if she's under the influence of alcohol. So now this has to do with what? This has to do with reaction time. What is going to happen? She is going to have an increased reaction time. So which means that the reaction time is going to be longer. Reason being that she has taken alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant. And what it does is that it increases reaction time. In the end, let us look at a summary of what we were discussing. We mentioned that sense organs are groups of receptor cells responding to specific stimuli. And these specific stimuli are light, touch, sound, temperature, and chemicals. We said that the sensory organs, what they do, they detect the stimuli by doing what? By changing the energy of stimuli into electrical energy of nerve impulses, because the brain can only detect, can only respond to nerve impulses. So there is need for the conversion or the transducing. And I also mentioned that the actions are divided into voluntary actions and involuntary actions, that the reflex, such as the reflex action. We said that voluntary actions are under the control of the brain. We've mentioned that, for instance, when you pick up a piece of paper, that is voluntary. You decide whether to do it or not. Reflex actions, they occur automatically without any thought, and they minimize damage to the body from potentially harmful conditions. For an example, withdrawing your hand quickly from hot objects. We also mentioned that the brain and spinal cord make up what is known as the central nervous system. And that brings us to the end of our lesson, dear learner at home.
Thank you very much for that lesson, Lindiwe, and we're hoping your Form 3s were actually watching and enjoying and actually benefited from that lesson, and we hope to see you again for another science lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi.
Thank you so much. Form 3s, please do not go anywhere. Lerato will be right back with the English Form 3 teacher, Putumile Dlamini. Stay tuned to Home Study. We'll be right back after this.
COVID-19, yes, the coronavirus. It is now our daily talk. It is now our everyday breaking news. I think it's high time we all come together and make sure we bring an end to this. Because we can't sit down while it's still taking over. Let's all follow all the precautions given by the health department so that we can protect ourselves and also protect others.
I just wash my hands before I touch. I just close my mouth before I cough. And I just close my mouth before I sneeze. And I don't go to parties, that's a risk, yeah. I see.
I wash my hands before I touch.
I see.
I close my mouth before I cough.
I see.
I close my mouth before I sneeze.
I see.
I don't go to parties, that's a risk.
I see. People going through a lot. I see. Coronavirus is a threat. I see. I don't go to parties, that's a risk. I see. I close my mouth before I cough. In case you're wondering, just wash your hands in case you handle things, and then keep an eye if you sneeze or cough, gotta keep it covered. I mean, who am I? Just a person living, wanna see you living, cause I value life. Eswatini, raise up, we gon' fight and conquer, cause we really got this.
I see. I wash my hands before I touch.
I see.
I close my mouth before I cough.
I see.
I close my mouth before I sneeze.
I see.
I don't go to parties, that's a risk.
Believe that some of the people you know can never be trusted at all. You gotta be cautious. Wash your hands more often. Can trust everything that we touch. And when you sneeze, you gotta make sure you cover your mouth, but not with your hands, cause you do not know who you're gonna touch or what you have touched. Before all of that, avoid meeting up with too many people. For your own good and everyone else, you gotta make sure you keep it all clean. Watch how you maneuver, look after yourself. A hand sanitizer won't kill you. Make sure that you use running water. Just think of our brothers and sisters in the country and the ones that are outside the borders. Yeah.
I see. I wash my hands before I touch.
I see.
I close my mouth before I cough.
I see.
I close my mouth before I sneeze.
I see.
I don't go to parties, that's a risk. Let's all come together and all say, not today, coronavirus.
COVID-19 Corona. COVID-19 Corona. COVID-19 Corona. COVID-19 Corona. COVID-19 Corona. COVID-19 Corona. Let's dance together.
Join hands.
Fight against Corona.
Let's
dance together.
join hands.
Fight against Corona.
Welcome back, Film 3s. This is the third subject for today, and right about now we are going to learn English language with Miss Putumile Dlamini. A very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Lerato. How are you?
I'm alright. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Okay. So today we're going to be the topic is speaking. Sorry.
Yes.
What would you expect the viewer to have learned by the end of the lesson?
So in today's lesson, it is actually looking into the oral assessment. That is, I will only be looking at our speaking test that we normally have. So the viewer must know or understand the expectations of the test and how one is to improve in the oral assessment test.
Okay. Viewers at home, please make sure to ask any relevant questions related to the subject. Ma'am, without wasting time, you may continue with your lesson.
All right. Thank you very much, Lerato. So in our previous lesson, what we did was we started by introducing you to the skill of speaking, where we looked into why is the skill very important and where in our lives are we supposed to apply the skill. And we also noticed that this skill of speaking is a skill that actually gets improved the more we practice, and it gets improved the more we actually read, the more we actually listen. So it is very important that we understand that in as much as we have an introduction to the skill, this skill is then assessed, and in its assessment they are actually looking into, are you able to actually be accurate when you are speaking? Are you able to develop your ideas? Are you able to actually use, let's say, language and the appropriate vocabulary items that are tied with that situation? So today we will actually, like I have said earlier, look much more into the speaking assessment. So like I have said, you ought to communicate ideas and opinions clearly and accurately. And you need to be effective in your talk or in whatsoever it is that you are going to be speaking about. And you also need to develop your responses and show a relationship between those responses. And you also are required to use a range of grammatical structures. That is, you are able to manipulate your sentence structures. You are able to use a simple sentence. You are able to use a compound sentence. You are able to use a complex sentence. And you must also show that you have control of how words are pronounced and the different stress patterns that are applied to each and every word. And you also are able to actually engage in a conversation and contribute into the conversation. And you are the one who also has the ability to control the conversation. Okay, so these are just nuggets that we shared the previous lesson. So now let us go through the oral assessment. My dear learner, the oral assessment, like I have said, it is a test or an assessment that actually looks into your speaking. How do you speak in the English language? Are you able to articulate yourself clearly? Are you able to control a conversation? Are you able to use the different grammatical structures, like I have said? So this oral assessment takes different stages, which we will look at in detail. We have the introduction stage. So in the introduction stage, this normally happens after maybe, let's say, your teacher or your examiner has actually retrieved your personal information from you. It is normally your name and your candidate number. Then it is at this stage whereby they are now going to be giving you like, let's say, a run of how your assessment will be. So what happens here is that your teacher is the one who will now give you the instructions on how are you going to take part in your oral assessment. This is a very important aspect of your exam because it actually prepares your mind to what is to come. It is what actually tells you that this is what is expected of me. This is where I will be graded. This is how I'm supposed to actually conduct myself in an oral examination. You are going to receive certain instructions like what will happen in the course of your exam. You are also going to receive the do's and the don'ts, what you ought to do during the exam and what you are not supposed to do during the exam. For instance, in this instance, it is a English oral assessment. So you are going to be given an instruction that during the course of this assessment, you are required to use the English language. So these are the instructions that you are going to receive in the introduction stage. So it is a way of actually preparing your mind of what is to come when you are in your oral assessment. Also, in this introduction stage of your exam, you are also given your time limits, that you are going to spend so much time in this stage of your exam and so much time in this stage of your exam. You are going to discover that as they give you the instructions, they will also be giving you where you are supposed to now pay special attention. That is, where in your exam are you actually going to be graded. we move forward and we look into the warm-up stage. So this warm-up stage normally happens after the introduction, when you have received certain instructions like I have said, and then you go into this stage. This stage actually is created to cool your nerves, because sometimes it happens, dear learner, that when you're going into an examination room, you get jitters, you get afraid, because it may be that you're afraid that I will be in front of a teacher and there's an assessment going on. So in a warm-up session, it is really meant to make you to relax, and it is in this part of your exam whereby the examiner will have the ability to choose the appropriate card for you. That is the card that will be used during your assessment. So in your warm-up session, you will receive questions that will ask you, let's say, what are your interests, and you are just going to be freely engaging with your examiner on what are your interests. So it is very important that you also take part in this part of the exam. Like I said, it cools your nerves and it allows you to actually be part of the oral assessment. This part of your exam is not graded, like I have said. It is just meant to also allow your examiner to know that this is the appropriate card for this candidate. So it is very important that you actually go through this stage. It is immediately after this stage where you are also going to now receive the chosen card for you. So what will normally happen is that you are going to receive the card and your examiner is going to pause the recording. When the examiner has paused the recording, it now goes into this stage of reading your card. This is a very important stage of your exam. This is because it is in this exam where you will actually be given time to study the card. It is also a part of your exam that is not graded, but it is very important because you are going to study the card and actually get to understand what is required of you. It is in this stage of the exam where you are also allowed to ask questions to your examiner. Get to find out what is expected of you in this card. Get to find out certain vocabulary items that may look difficult for you. It is also in this part of your exam where you're actually going to plan your conversation in your mind, that this is how I want to structure my conversation. This is how I want the person who is assessing me, or the audience, to actually get to understand that this is the thought that I am putting through in this type of my talk. So it is very important that you go through this part. In most instances, you discover that learners do not ask, yet it is very important that you take this time and ask all the necessary questions. Ask this word that you find difficult. Ask this bullet that seems to be very difficult for you, because the examiner will simplify it for you. And once the examiner has simplified for you, it will be easier for you to actually get your creative juices going. It is when you are now going to be thinking and structuring your conversation and understanding that this is how I want my ideas to actually link. It all happens during this part of your exam. In this part of your exam, however, you are not allowed to write notes or to make notes. That's why I say in this part, think, make sure that you structure your thoughts correctly, you structure your ideas correctly, know what you want, how you want your talk to take which structure. So it is important that you take this part. And this part of reading the card is also not graded. So as you can see that there are a lot of stages that happen before the oral exam, which is actually graded. So all of these stages that I have talked about allow you to relax, allow you to actually get to understand the situation that you are in. They allow you to actually get to think that this is what I want to talk about today. Because this last part of your exam is the only part of your exam where marks are allocated. This is the speaking talking stage. In this stage, it is when you will now begin speaking or taking charge of the conversation. This is when you will now be telling or giving your examiner your ideas about the card that you have received. What do you think about the card that you have received? What is your opinion about what you have been given? How do you think that that certain card that you have been given, maybe you would have wanted to elaborate it? Please note in this part that it is you as the learner that steers the direction of the conversation. You are in charge of the conversation. You are the one that will actually make the examiner to maybe want to ask questions that will be taken from what you have actually presented. I just want you to note that this is not an interview, my dear learner, but it is a conversation. The more you speak, it is the more the examiner will follow into your conversation. Like you have also noted that this is the only part of your examination where you are going to be graded. So it is very important that your voice is dominant. Your examiner's voice must not be so dominant over yours, because they are not going to grade your examiner or your teacher, but they will be grading what you have said. So it is very important, my dear learner, that in this part you speak freely, you speak your ideas freely, you stay in your conversation, you initiate the talk, because this is where you are going to be harvesting your marks. So what are you supposed to consider when you are speaking? Accuracy. I talked about accuracy in our last lesson, and I said that accuracy entails the way we are going to be using our structures in English. That is our grammatical structures. Are you able to use in a simple sentence for effect? Are you able to use a compound sentence for effect? Are you able to use a complex sentence for effect? So it is very important that as you are trying to use your language, you use it accurately. You show that I am now pausing here, maybe it's the end of the idea. You give the person listening to you that, oh, now maybe this is a full stop, it's an end of an idea. So it is very important that you are accurate. You use your grammatical structures accurately, and the more you vary them, it also allows you to gain a very higher marks. When you use the grammatical structures variedly, there is an input of a simple sentence, there is a complex sentence, there is a compound sentence. It allows you to gain very high marks other than just using simple structures. And also it is very important that you are also using vocabulary correctly. This means that you use the appropriate vocabulary items tied with the situation that you have been given. We are going to see this in the example that I have. But let us suppose you are now maybe presented a card that looks into the behavior in class. The moment you have received a card like that, automatically I expect you to be speaking about learners, to be speaking about a teacher, to be speaking about a classroom environment, because that shows that you are using the vocabulary items that are tied with the situation that you have been presented with. You are not just going to say, and the humans are supposed to keep quiet. Oh no, those humans have a name. They are playing a certain role, and in that situation they are referred to as students. So it is very important that we use the appropriate vocabulary items that are tied with the situation presented. It is also important that we pronounce words correctly. The pronunciation of words is what allows the person listening to you not to be confused within your talk. This is whereby the person who is listening to you understands the words correctly because you are pronouncing them correctly. It is very important to note that what helps us with our pronunciation, it is the ability, or it is the manner in which we actually listen to the language. So I'm sure you now see that the more you listen, you are actually going to be able to understand that this is the way words are pronounced, and you are now going to pronounce them correctly. So the way you are going to be pronouncing words, the way you are going to be pitching, showing that my voice is now variating. I am showing a happy moment. I am showing maybe a sad moment. I am showing that I am puzzled. So as your voice variates, it shows that you are also in control of the conversation. They also look into the way you develop your ideas. You are not supposed to just give one word answers. You are supposed to be elaborate when you are developing your ideas. Like I said, this is when you are actually showing that you have a command of the conversation. You are the one who understands that this is the direction I want my conversation to take. So if you have that in you, it will be easier for you to actually develop your ideas at length, speak at length on what you want to, on what you are speaking about. So development, it is the ability to develop or build your ideas at length with a minimal interruption from your teacher or your examiner. So the more you develop and you are comfortable in whatsoever idea that you are presenting, and there are minimal interactions or minimal interruptions caused by your examiner, it will allow you to score very high marks, because it shows the examiner that you have command of the English language and you have command of whatsoever it is that you are speaking about. And fluency is very important. There are things that I will also touch on that will enable you to be fluent in whatsoever it is that you are talking about. This is the ability of the learner to clearly express their idea with ease. That is, it's easy for you to actually talk about whatsoever you have received with ease. This doesn't mean, my dear learner, that you're not going to make mistakes. But as you make mistakes, they do not hamper understanding. The person who is listening to you is able to actually get to understand that this is what my speaker is trying to express at this moment. So it is very important, because this is when you are also fluent, we are able to also follow through your conversation. Understand that this is how your conversation link. You will remember that I have said initially that as you are speaking, show that this is how my talk is linking. So this would also help you with your fluency. How do you respond? It's very important. Like I've also stressed, use a variety of English structures. This is part of your accuracy. Manipulate the different structures. Use your simple sentence, your compound sentence, your complex sentence. And also use the relevant vocabulary tied with the situation presented. It is also important that as you are speaking, you also present some smart and sophisticated ideas. These are ideas that actually think that you have actually gone through your card and you have actually thought about the card that you have given, or you have been given, and you have also made a sort of a map of how your ideas will be going, or of how your ideas will, what direction your ideas will take. So as you bring forth sophisticated ideas, smart ideas, it will allow you to actually gain very good marks. And you are also allowed, or you are supposed to sustain and maintain a conversation. You must show that you are in control of the conversation, not your examiner. You are the one who is like a driver controlling the steering wheel of the conversation. You are the one who says, this is the direction I want my conversation to take. And also use your pronunciation and intonation clearly. In most instances, there is a mistake, however, that is made by our dear learners. Sometimes our learners, they have or they feel pressured that they want to sound like native speakers of the language. No, you do not have to stress yourself there. Once you are able just to pronounce the words correctly, and you are able to ensure that the person listening to you understands your idea, it is easy for them to follow in or to follow through your talk. You do not need to sound like a native speaker. Because if you fall into that pressure, you will find yourself not pronouncing words correctly. What makes a poor response? A poor response is a response you will discover that the answers are very short and they are one word. there are very lengthy gaps in between in between your answers. It's like you are taking a lot of time to think, or maybe you have run out of what to say. This shows that maybe during when you were studying your card, you didn't actually think through your card and actually plan how your conversation should go. And you are not using the appropriate vocabulary that is tied with the situation that has been presented to you. And sometimes because you are not pronouncing words correctly and you are not showing the appropriate intonation, the person listening to you doesn't get to understand what you actually mean. So meaning is in doubt to the person who is actually listening to your talk. And also, as the learner, you are not in control of the conversation. The conversation sounds like you are in an interview, like maybe the examiner or your teacher has a lot or is controlling the conversation more than you. Yet, as the learner, you are the one who is supposed to be in control of the conversation. Like I said, you drive the conversation. You can even initiate the talk yourself. There is no need maybe for the teacher to maybe initiate the conversation for you. You can even do that so that you get very good marks. So a poor response shows that you as the learner, you do not have a command of the topic and you are relying heavily on your teacher. I have with me here a card. This is a card that you will normally receive in an oral assessment. This card is in this way. They normally give you a topic. In this instance, it's about my hero. Already when you see my hero, you think of a champion. You think of someone who does heroic deeds. And now there's a brief explanation. Do you have someone you consider your hero? Many people do. Discuss with your teacher your thoughts and feelings on your kind of hero. And if it happens, my dear learner, that you do not know what a hero is, you can take time and ask the teacher during the time when you are studying the card and ask what is actually a hero. And then you are now going to take time and think of that person you consider to have done a heroic deeds. It can be your mother. It can be a fireman. It can be a nurse. It can be your teacher. But it is that person who you think that he or she does heroic deeds. So because in this instance we are speaking about a hero, there is certain vocabulary items that comes with a situation where we are speaking about heroes. You can call someone maybe your champion. You can show that this person is fearless. You can show that this person is brave. Those are the kinds of words that are expected in this type of a conversation. Please note, my dear learner, that you have bullets there. Those bullets are just there to guide you. It doesn't mean that you need to follow them the way they are presented there. They are just there to give you ideas, to spark those creative juices. You are allowed, my dear learner, to think of your own ideas about a hero. So with me here, I have different examples of responses. I have student A, student B, and student C. I want you to put in mind on what we have talked about, whereby we said that the student is in charge of the conversation. The student gives elaborate ideas. The student is the one who also uses the correct vocabulary. The student also shows that he or she understands the situation that is presented. I am going to read these responses to you, and you are going to see how then a student scores high marks and how others score poor marks. So student A says, we are going to look into the bullet that says, a bullet number 1, which says, why is this person your hero? I just took that one and said, let me just develop it a bit. Student A says, when I think of a hero, I imagine someone strong and fearless, someone who works hard and does not give up easily, someone who can guide you and protect you. My mother has all those qualities, and to me, she is a champion. This is student A. I'll read it again. When I think of a hero, I imagine someone strong and fearless, someone who works hard and doesn't give up easily, someone who can guide you and protect you. My mother has all those qualities, and to me, she is a champion. That is student A. Student B says, my hero is my mother. She is a good person. She takes care of us. That is where the response ends. My hero is my mother. She is a good person. She takes care of us. Student C says, my hero is my mother. She takes a long, he or she takes a long gap, and she just mentioned my hero is my mother, and that's it. Yet, like we have said, you are supposed to now develop your ideas at length. So, comparing these students, you will see that student A will score higher marks than the other students. Let's look into student A as response. We said that as a student, you are supposed to actually manipulate different structures. You will see that in the response, he or she has started by pairing or using a complex sentence. She says, when I think of a hero, I imagine someone strong and fearless. Someone who works hard and doesn't give up easily. So he or she uses a complex sentence, and within that complex sentence we also see that there are also compound sentences. And you also see that she has that statement there that says, to me, she is a champion. It's a simple statement, but it has an effect. And also, as we look closely into this student's response, you will also understand that he or she is using the correct words that match the situation that is presented. Words like strong, fearless, someone who doesn't give up easily, someone who guides, someone who protects, and the mother is what? A champion. So you see that this student has also used the appropriate vocabulary items to actually give a clear description of his or her champion there, and in this instance it is his or her mother. And it is also easy for you to see that because the student has actually elaborated at length with this bullet, he or she is able to show that I am in control of this conversation. So my dear learner, how are you able to actually improve your speaking? Like you have seen in what we have talked about, where you use your appropriate vocabulary, you develop ideas, you find yourself manipulating or using different varied structures, you find yourself having a control of a conversation. All of these skills do not just develop in a whim. You need to practice. There is an English saying that says, practice makes perfect. The more you practice the language, that is, you practice it in class, you practice it with your friends, meaning you speak in the language, it will be so easy for you to find that it is not nerve-breaking to speak in English, but it is something that is very comfortable. You are able to just express yourself without sweating. Like I said, that this is a skill that you also need in the world of work. Imagine you have written a seller pitch and you cannot present it. So this is why this skill is very important for you to master. So practice this skill. Like I said, you can start with speaking with your friends about how your weekend was, how your day was, simple things like that. And if you want it to be a bit more complicated, you can use your books, the New Language for Life book. It has these cards that will allow you to practice speaking in the language. And also, if you want to be a good person who can speak in English, you need to be an elaborate reader. You should remember, my dear learner, that when we started these lessons, I specifically talked about close reading. And I said this is the type of reading that will allow you to grow and develop in your English language. It is when you'll be finding synonyms, the use of sentences, the use of appropriate phrases, and getting to understand that if I've used this phrase in this way, this is the effect that is achieved. So the more you read, you are also going to see language at play. And the more you read, you will be more knowledgeable. It is true that this oral assessment does not test your knowledge, but the more you have knowledge about that card that you are speaking about, you will surely be confident in it. So you are also going to get more knowledge through reading. Read things that are presented in a variety of forms. Read things that present different topics. Read something that will speak about, let's say, economics, something that will speak about agriculture, something that will speak about discipline. All of these things that you will find that are happening around you, be sure that you are one with what is happening around you. You are a reader. The more you read, you will find that you know a lot of things, and your opinions are a bit stronger because you are speaking about something that you know. And remember that I've said that you ought to present sophisticated and smart ideas. The only way you are able to present sophisticated and smart ideas, it is when you have confidence with what you are speaking about. So be a reader, my dear learner. And also listen. So listen to information presented in a variety of formats. Listen to a news broadcast. Listen to a lecture. Listen to a talk. Watch even on TV, watch these talks, watch these documentaries. The more you get to listen, you also are able to actually understand how these words are pronounced, and you pronounce them correctly. And take advantage of technology, like I have said. We now have dictionaries and apps that will actually show you how certain words are pronounced. Listen to how that word is pronounced, because as you do that, your language develops. And as your language develops, it is easier for you to use it accurately and effectively. It is easier for you to speak something that you have heard instead of just trying to maybe gather how this word is now pronounced in a whim. So the more you actually are part of your listening, you are part of your reading, and you actually practice the language, it will be easier for you to give a very solid conversation. And like I said, take advantage of platforms that will allow you to actually develop the language. For instance, if in your school you have a public speaking clubs, like you have the debate club, you have a public speaking club, join those kinds of platforms, because you are going to do a lot of research, and you will find yourself in a platform where you are always speaking. And as you practice speaking, as you use those platforms, you will be more confident. Remember, my dear learner, that this is a skill, not a skill that will only be tested in school, but it is a lifelong skill. You need the skill even in your career. You need it even when you are going to start a business. You are going to be doing sales pitch. So you need to understand the art of speaking effectively, accurately, and developing your ideas. Thank you very much, my dear Lena, for actually taking part in this lesson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Putumile, for being with us today. That was a very interesting lesson on the speaking exercise. We're hoping you're going to come again next time. Okay, up next is my colleague Nogwazi Dlamini, who is going to be presenting the next Form 5 subject. So Form 5s, quickly grab a snack and then come back, because Nogwazi will be back after this infomercial.
The basic protective measures against the new coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and water, or use alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain social distancing. Maintain at least 1 meter distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. Hands touch many surfaces and can pick viruses. Once contaminated, hands can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and make you sick. Practice respiratory hygiene. Make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Dispose the used tissue immediately. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical help early. Stay home if you feel unwell. Follow the directions of your local health authority. Stay informed and follow advice given by your healthcare provider.
Why is hand washing with soap effective against COVID-19? The coronavirus is too small to see, but is covered with little spikes that stick tightly to the natural greases on your skin. It gets on your skin by someone with COVID-19 coughing or sneezing nearby you, or by you touching an unclean surface where the virus can stay active for up to several days. But washing hands thoroughly with soap for 20 seconds is highly effective against the virus. Soap loosens the grip of the virus on the skin and destroys the outer layer of the virus, pulling it apart. This means the virus loses its power to infect people. Washing your hands well with soap means you can destroy or remove the virus and wash it away before it has the chance to infect you or your family. By washing hands with soap and water, people protect themselves, their loved ones, family, and the community. By acting together, we can help stop the spread of coronavirus.
Welcome back to our viewers, and a very good afternoon if you have just joined us. This is Home Study on Eswatini TV. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini, and right now we are doing Mathematics 4 from 5 with Ndingi Mamba, who is already joining me in the studio. Also joining us in the studio are our sign language interpreters, Linda Mamba and Nombumelelo Hadebe. How are you doing this afternoon, Ndingi?
I'm good, Gwazi. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. Today I understand we're doing algebraic fractions.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Okay. What are you expecting your Form 5 learner to have learned by the end of this lesson?
They must be able to simplify algebraic fractions.
Okay.
Yes, no matter in what form they're given.
Okay. Any material that they're going to need for this lesson?
A pen and a book, exercise book will do for today's lesson.
Okay. Form 5s, get your pens and your exercise books ready, and then you will be doing the mathematics lesson with you. Of course, just to remind you that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook, and if you have any questions, please feel free to use the WhatsApp number. Dingy, can I please ask you to please raise your voice a bit when you're doing your lesson, please?
Okay,
thank you very much. You may begin your lesson.
Good afternoon, dear learner at home. Today we're going to be looking at algebraic fractions. Algebra is something that we use in our everyday life. Most of the time we use it as statements that represent numbers. For example, when you talk of a dozen, so the dozen represents the number 12, but you do not necessarily have to say I need 12. You can simply say I need a dozen of eggs. So it works very much in our everyday life. So it is important, dear learner, that you stay with us and try and understand how to solve that X that people normally say they cannot solve. So today, in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at algebraic fractions. And then our objective is that we must be able to simplify algebraic fractions, and we must also simplify them by adding, subtracting, multiplying, and probably dividing algebraic fractions. We must also be able to simplify algebraic fractions where the numerator and denominator are quadratic expressions. So to do that, we use factorization. And then you must also be able to form algebraic fractions and probably equations, and then solve the algebraic fractional equations. So that is what we are going to be doing in our lesson today. So to be able to do the lesson very well, you must remember, or you must be able to perform basic operations such as addition and subtraction of numerical fractions. And then you must also remember how we collect like terms and factorizing expressions. You must be able to remove brackets. You must be able to find the lowest common multiple. You must also remember how to factorize quadratic expressions, and you must be in a position to remember how to interpret word problems. What is an algebraic fraction? So an algebraic fraction is a fraction whose numerator or denominator is a polynomial or an algebraic expression. So these algebraic fractions are sometimes called rational expressions. So we have examples here of algebraic fraction. So we have 2m over x. We have a over 3 minus b, 5t plus 4 over y plus 3. So those are examples of algebraic fractions. And then we're going to start off by looking at addition and subtraction of algebraic fractions. So let us say we have our fractions 3x over 4 minus x over 3. So in subtraction or in addition of numerical fractions, we said before we can subtract or before we can add, we must write the fraction to the same denominator. And then we said writing the fractions to the same denominator means that we must find the lowest common multiple of their denominators. So in this case, our denominators are 4 and 3, and then the lowest common multiple between those two is 12. So once you have the lowest common multiple, we proceed to say 12 divided by 4, we are going to remain with 3, and then 3 times 3, that is where we get our 9x. So it is 3 times 3x. And then 3 into 12, we are going to get 4, and then 4 times x, I'm sorry here, dear Lena, it's supposed to be 4. So 4 times x, we get 4x. And then 9x minus 4x, they are now like terms because they both contain an x next to the variable. I mean next to the number. So it's going to be 9x minus 4x, giving us our answer. I'm sorry, this one is not correct. Our answer is going to be 5x. So our answer is going to be 5x over 12. So it is 9x minus 4x, giving us 5x all over 12. So that is when we have a numerical denominators. But what happens now, let us look at another example where we have a denominator. In the denominator, we have a variable. So we have the fraction 5x over x plus 7x minus 4 all over 2. So here, because we do not know the value of x, we cannot say we find the common, a lowest common multiple. Instead, we find a multiple that is common between these two denominators. So in this case, we can get the multiple common by multiplying the two denominators, giving us 2x. So 2 times x, this 2 times this x will give us that 2x. And then we proceed the way in which we we multiply, or in which we simplify. So we are going to say x into 2x. So x will cancel the x, and then we are going to remain with 2. And then 2 into 2x, we are going to get x. And then we have to introduce now, because this is a two-termed expression. So we then introduce brackets, and we multiply what is inside the brackets by this particular x there. So that when we expand the brackets, we're going to get 10x plus 7x squared minus 4x. So again, you can see that after doing that, we can get a common like terms. So this is 4x, it's minus 4x and 10x. So they are like terms. So we can collect like terms. And collecting like terms, we get 7x squared plus 6x all over 2x. So after collecting like terms. But you can also see now that in the numerator, we have a common multiple, which is x. So factoring out x, we are going to get x into 7x plus 6 all over 2x. And then because this x now is in the numerator, it is being divided by this x in the denominator. So the x will cancel out each other. So we have our answer remaining as 7x plus 6 all over 2. So that is how we add, and that is how we subtract our algebraic fractions. And then we are going to proceed now to look at a situation where now we have a two-termed denominator. So when our denominator has two terms. So in this example, we have the fraction 2 over x minus 3 minus x plus 1 over x plus 4. So you can see that the denominators now are two-termed. Again, we start by finding a common multiple, so which we are going to get by multiplying the denominators. So it's x minus 3 times x plus 4. Again, we introduce brackets because now there are two terms. And then the next thing we go to say x minus 3 into this, we are going to remain with 2 into x plus 4, because this x minus 3 here will cancel out that x minus 3. And then minus 1 into the x minus 4 will cancel this x minus 4, remaining with x minus 3. So we have 1 into x minus 3. We then proceed to removing brackets. So when we remove the brackets, it's going to be 2 times x to give us 2x. Again, 2 times 4 to give us 8. And then minus 1 times x, it's going to give us minus x. And then minus 1 times minus 3, that gives us a positive 3. So our expression expanded is going to be 2x plus 8 minus x plus 3. And then we collect like terms. So in this case, we have 2x and x as like terms. And then we have 8 and 3 as like terms. So 2x minus x, that gives us an x. And then 8 plus 3 gives us an 11. So this is our answer. So we have simplified, because if you look at the numerator and the denominators, we cannot find a common multiple. So we cannot further simplify this particular equation. So most of the time, if we are adding or subtracting, the simplification simply means that you write as a single fraction. Let us now look at the multiplication and division of algebraic fractions. Let us use our example here. We have the fraction a plus 2 over a plus 1 divided by a minus 3a minus 1 over 3a plus 3. And then we said when we divide a fraction, say we have 1 over 2 divided by 1 over 4. So we said this is the same as saying 1 over 2 times the reciprocal of 1 over 4, which is 4 over 1. So that we do the same thing even here. So we reciprocate the fraction that we are dividing with. So it's going to be a plus 2 over a plus 1 times the reciprocal is going to be 3a plus 3 all over 3a minus 1. And then the other thing that we said is that if we have two fractions, 2 over 3 times 1 over 5. What you do there, you multiply the numerators only. So it's going to be 2 times 1, giving you 2. So it's 2 times 1 to give you 2 over multiplying the denominators. 3 times 5, giving you 15. So that is how we multiply fractions. So we do the same thing here. So it is 2a plus 2 over a plus 1 times 3a plus 3 over 3a minus 1. So in this case, if the fractions were probably, because if the question here says simplify, so it means that we can not necessarily go straight to multiplying the numerators and multiplying the denominators without checking if there are any common factors in this particular between these two fractions. Because if you just straight away multiply, you will find that probably there is a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. So leaving your answer like that. So this is what you would get when you straight away multiply. You would get such. But that is not going to be a true answer because it is not in its simplest form. So instead of doing this, it is best that you start by looking for common factors. So you will notice that this is a plus 2 over a plus 1 times, in this particular fraction, in that numerator there, you see there's 3a plus 3. So there's a common factor, which is 3. So factoring out the 3, you're going to get 3 into a plus 1 all over 3a minus 1. So looking at the 2, we have an a plus 1, which is in the numerator here. And then we have an a plus 1, which is on the denominator part there. So meaning these two are actually dividing each other. So they will cancel out each other. And then you're going to remain on this fraction, you're going to remain with the 3, and then here it's going to be 3 into a plus 2. This side you're going to remain with 3a minus 1 in the denominator part, so that your final answer is 3 into a plus 2 all over 3a minus 1. So this is simplified because there are no more, like we cannot have a common multiples between the numerator and the denominator. And then maybe sometimes you find that students will see an a in the numerator and an a in the denominator there, and then start cancelling out there. That is not what is supposed to happen, because these a's here are not multiplying. So they are terms in part of an expression, so you cannot necessarily cancel them out. So you leave your answer as is. And then we are going to proceed now to solving or simplifying algebraic fractions that involve quadratic fractions. And then we said a quadratic expression or a quadratic equation, as long as it is quadratic, we said the highest power of the variable is 2. So we also have fractions where probably the numerator is a quadratic expression or the denominator is a quadratic expression. So in that particular case, we use factorization. So let us look at our example here. So it says simplify, the first one says simplify 5m in brackets squared times n cubed all over 10mn. So simplifying this means that you have to write this such that there are no common factors. By mere looking, Elena will start cancelling, saying there's 5 here, which is a factor of 10. But that, again, is going to be not the correct way of doing things. Why? Because the 5 here is being squared. So the first thing that you have to do is to remove the bracket there. So removing the brackets is going to give you 25 m squared, this one. So 5 squared is 25, m squared is going to be m squared times n cubed, so that our expression expanded is going to be 25 m squared n cubed divided by 10 mn. So once you have done that, you can then look for common factors. So in between 25 and 10, we have a common factor, which is 5. So 5 into 10, it will leave you with 2. And 5 into 25 is going to leave you with 5. And then we look at the variables. So we have m and we have m squared. Remember, m squared is the same as m times m. So that is m squared. So m cancelling out m, a single m there, we're going to remain with a single m, and then n into that is going to leave us with n squared, so that our final answer is going to be 5m n squared all over 2. And then we want to look at another example. So here is another example. In this particular example, you will notice that the numerator, which is 3p squared minus 11p minus 4, is a quadratic expression because the highest power of p is 2. And the denominator is also a quadratic expression, which is p squared minus 5p plus 4. And then we can factorize these two expressions. So to factorize, we're going to look at one of the methods of factorizing. We said to factorize this, we can find the factors of AC. So remember, we said A is the coefficient of the squared term and C is the constant term. So we find the factors of AC that will add up to P. So, to B, I'm sorry, that will add up to B, which is the middle term. So we find factors of AC that add up to B. So one way of finding the factors is by listing the factors of AP, 3p squared. So we have 3p and p. Those are the factors of 3p squared. So it can be 3p and p, or alternatively you can have p on the other side and 3p down there. And then we list the factors of C. So because our C is -4, so we list the factors of -4. Here we have -4 and +1, +1 and -4. We can also have 4 here and -1 there, and so on. The -2 and 2. So those are the factors. You list them, you can list all of them. And then after listing the factors, you can, because we want the factors that are going to add up to the constant term, I mean the B here, which is the term, which is the coefficient of the P. So we cross multiply like that. So cross multiplying, the first one is going to give us -12 P. I'm sorry. The first one is going to give us P times -4. So it's -4P, and then plus 3P. So if you add this, you will notice that it gives you -1P. So, but our constant, our B here is equal to a -11P. Then we proceed to the next multiplication. So it's going to be this times that and this times that. So doing that, we are going to get 3P times -4. That gives us -12P, and then P times 1 plus P, and then -12P plus P, that gives us -11P. So we have found the two factors that add up to the term, which is the middle term there, to the coefficient of P, our B. So after doing that, we simply take the factors. So the factors are going to be 3P plus 1. So 3P plus 1 and P minus 4. So we have factorized. So we have 3P plus 1 and P minus 4. And then we proceed to factorize the denominator. Because the coefficient of P squared there is 1, we said again to factorize the denominator, we look for factors of the constant term that will add up to the middle term, or to the term that is a coefficient of P. So again, we have +4. Factors of +4 can be 1 and 4, and then 1 plus 4 will give you 5. But there's a -5 there. So it means that the factors we're interested in is -1 and -4, because when you multiply those, you get, when you add those, you get -5, but when you multiply them, you get a +4. So we have factorized, so it's going to be P minus 4 times P minus 1. So after factorizing, you will notice that between the numerator and the denominator, there is a constant term. There's a constant multiple. There's a common multiple, which is P minus 4. So it's going to be P minus 4 divided by P minus 4, giving us 1. Hence, our final solution is going to be 3P plus 1 over P minus 1. And then we can also look at another example where we have 2x squared minus 7x over minus 30 over x squared minus 36. So again, the question might say simplify. So to simplify, we need to factorize. So to factorize, we can still use the factors of AC that add up to B. So the factors of AC that add up to B. And then once we have those factors, we can then take the factors and rewrite the middle term in terms of those factors. So it's going to be 2x squared plus 5x minus 12x minus 3. So we want to factorize by grouping. And then the denominator is x squared minus 36. So x squared is a squared term, 36 is a squared. So to find or to factorize there, we can factorize by using the difference of two squares. So factorizing the difference of two squares, we get x plus 6 into x minus 6. Then we can proceed to factorize by grouping. So between 2x squared and 5x, we have a common factor, which is x. Factoring out x, you get 2x plus 5. And then between negative 12x and minus 30, we have a common factor, which is negative 6. So we factor out negative 6, we get 2x plus 5. So 2x plus 5 is multiplying this side. It is also multiplying that side. So we factor it out. We remain with 2x plus 5 into x minus 6. And in the denominator, we have x plus 6 into x minus 6. So the x minus 6 will cancel out each other. And then we remain with our expression in its simplest form. I don't know whether Nogwazi has a question.
No, I don't have a question actually. You may continue with your lesson.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the last part is an application of algebraic fraction. So this part is taken from our November 2019 past paper, which was paper 3, and the question was question 12. So the question says, two sisters left their house at the same time and drove to the same town in two different cars. So the town is 100 kilometers away. One car traveled at an average speed of 10 kilometers per hour faster than the other. So, and then we are told that let x be the kilometers per hour, be the speed of the slower car. And then we are asked to express the speed of the faster car. So faster car, it is going to be x plus 10 because its speed was 10 kilometers per hour faster. And then the next question said the faster car arrived 1 hour earlier than the slower car. Form an equation. So if we're to form an equation and show that it reduces to that, the first thing is to find an expression for the speed of the cars. So, I mean, for the time, because we're given that it is 1 hour earlier. So speed is equal to distance over time. So that time is going to be distance over speed. So the time for the slower car is going to be 100 over x, and the time for the faster car is going to be 100 over x plus 10. And then the difference between those two is equal to 1 hour. So again, the slower time is going to be the time for the faster car because it takes it is faster, so it will take an hour less than the other car. So you can see that now we have algebraic fractions, and then you can because this is a subtraction, we subtract first by finding the lowest common denominator, and then multiply in, you equate it to 1, and then because now we are forming an equation, so it means that we have to remove the denominator, and if we remove the denominator, we are going to get the expression that was required in the question. Thank you very much, Kwazi.
Thank you very much, Ndingi, for that lesson, and we're hoping your Form 5 learner actually benefited from it, and we're hoping to see you again next time for more mathematics.
Yes, you definitely.
Thank you very much. Form 5s, please do not go anywhere. Stay tuned because English language, with Mrs. Winnie Dlamini is coming up next. We'll be right back after this.
Wash hands now. Wash hands now. Wash hands now. Wash hands now. Hand washing is one of the best ways to keep from getting sick and staying healthy all year long.
Kids, wash your hands so you can come in and have lunch.
Okay, Mom. Tabo, apply some soap. You shouldn't just use water only.
But my hands aren't dirty, Nolwazi.
Just because your hands don't look dirty doesn't mean they're clean. We need to wash our hands regularly with soap and running water for at least 20 seconds, just like teacher taught us, so that all virus-causing germs and bacteria are washed away.
Welcome back from Fives and to our viewers. This is Home Study. A very good afternoon if you have just joined us. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and this is Home Study on Eswatini TV. Right now we are doing Form 5 English Language with Mrs. Winile Dlamini. Also joining me in the studio are our sign language interpreters, Nombumelelo Hadebe and Linda Mamba. How are you doing today, Winile?
I'm very well, thank you, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much. Today we're doing an introduction to formal and informal writing.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 5 learner to have learned by the end of this lesson?
I'm expecting that my Form 5s are able to use formal and informal styles of writing where appropriate.
Okay, all right, Form 5s, I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And just a tiny reminder that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Winile, you may please begin your lesson.
Thank you very much, Nogwazi. My dear Form 5s, you are most welcome to today's lesson. As Nogwazi has said, today we're looking at formal and informal writing. Today I'm not going to be specific to any particular genre, but I just want you to get a clear picture as to what happens when you're being asked to write formally and what happens when you're being asked to write informally. So we're going to start, my dear Form 5s, with the definitions. What is formal writing? What do we mean when we talk about formal writing? It is the style of writing that uses language in an objective and a precise and a very impersonal way. Why? Because you are writing formally. Let me read this example for you. It is not necessary for you to sleep late. It is a formal way of conveying that message. That's what we call formal writing. Then we have also what we call informal writing. Informal writing is the style of writing that uses language in a casual, personal, and friendly way. An example for that one will be, you don't have to sleep late. My dear learners, I want you to look at these two examples. The first one for formal writing says, it is not necessary for you to sleep late. The second one, which is an example for informal writing, says, you don't have to sleep late. You can tell the difference between the two. The other one is more measured, is more dignified. The other one is more conversational. It's like I am directly having a conversation with the person. That is, at a very simple basis, the difference between formal and informal writing. But for the sake of clarity, my dear learners, I want us to look at a table that shows the differences between these two styles of writing. Formal and informal styles of writing. What happens at each style? Under formal writing, the tone is dignified and respectful. the tone in which you write, the tone in which you express yourself. It is expected to be dignified. It is expected to be respectful. On the other hand, the tone for informal writing will be friendly, will be conversational, because you write as if you are talking to the person. In formal writing, you write and you are telling the person. When you are informal, you write as if you are talking. Also, another difference, in formal writing, we use what? Long and complex sentences. Why long and complex sentences? Because when you write formally, that is where you give your what? Your explanations. That's where you give your details. That is where you give your examples. So you cannot do that with short, abbreviated sentences. You need long and complex sentences. On the other hand, when you're writing informally, you use short, simple sentences. Why? You want your sentences to have that charisma. You want your sentences to have that conversational flair in them. You cannot achieve that if your sentences, my dear learners, are very long. Another difference. In formal writing, the language is objective. Why is the language objective? Because you're presenting details, because you're presenting facts, because you're presenting explanations, because you're presenting evidence. So the language has to be what? Objective. When you're writing informally, the language is more what? Personal and subjective. It has that impersonated flair in it. Then also, under formal writing, my dear learners, we use what? Full words. In informal writing, you are allowed to use what we call contractions. Let me make an example. You can say, I will not. And then when you're bringing a contraction, you will say, I wouldn't. There's a contraction there. You use that when you're writing in informal writing. Then also, remember, the audience for formal writing. Normally, the audience is somebody you have not met before, or it is people you never interact with. That is why, my dear learners, it is very important to speak in a dignified way. You speak in a respectful way. Whereas in informal writing, it's mostly a letter or a speech. Probably you're presenting it to your friends, or you're writing to your family member, or you're writing to acquaintances. So that is why the language and the audience is more relaxed. That is why you're allowed to speak in that conversational way, in that chatty way, in that friendly way, because it bridges, right, the relationship that you have, or it shows the relationship that you have. You will not do that in informal writing, because you have to respect the people that you don't know. Then lastly, my dear learner, when you're writing in formal writing, you use the third point of view. In informal writing, you can use all of them. First person, you can use second person. Second person, especially when you're writing speeches, you are addressing the audience. You are speaking to the people who are listening to you. You can also use the what? The third person, depending on the what? On the task. Now, my dear learner, I want us to move on to look at another important aspect in this question. Just a small reminder. Formal and informal writing styles, you are examined about this in question exercise 1 and exercise 2 of your paper 3. Now, I want to draw your attention to this critical issue. Make sure, my dear learners, you do what? Question analysis. Analyze the question. Don't just rush into responding. Don't just jump into answering. You must understand all the nitty-gritties that are in the question. Number one, pay attention to every detail in the question. And a better way for you to do that, underline these details, my dear learner. Annotate on your question paper. Underline, or this detail shows what? Audience. This detail is implying the what? The tone. This detail, it shows the register that I'm supposed to use. Underline. It helps your work to be more organized, and it gives you some kind of easement into your writing. Also, the questions will have what we refer to as bullets. My dear learners, these bullets, they draw your attention to the important information that is supposed to be included in your work. Don't just browse through the bullets. Read the bullets and develop them. Address and develop them with relevant details. Don't stray off the subject matter. The examiner will give you the bullets so that to try and assist you in attempting the question, and also assist you what they are expecting at the end of the day. Your job in responding is to develop those bullets. And we also have what we refer to as prompts or speech bubbles. My dear learner, the prompts that you are given in exercise 1 and exercise 2, or I would say in formal and in informal writing, they are meant to stimulate, inspire, and quicken your thinking and planning process. It's like the examiner is saying, do not chase a lot of rabbits and catch none. But this is the guidance that I'm giving to you. So what do you do with those prompts? Address them with creativity. Don't gravitate to the temptation of thinking, just because the examiner has given me bullets, now I am going to respond as if it's a yes or a no answer. My dear learner, address them creatively by doing what? By giving or adding your own ideas. Develop these prompts that have been given to you to kind of guide you on the line of thinking. These are the ideas probably that some people have thought about or deliberated on. Your responsibility, therefore, is build on the given ideas. Add your own ideas. My dear learner, the examiner cannot mark himself. He will not give you prompts and then you respond like it's a yes or a no answer. At the end, it feels like he is marking himself. Your ideas are needed in this task. Now, in these prompts, also pay attention where there is probably, for example, if the prompts are talking about achievements, I want you to note the what? The plural form. That's a suggestion. The examiner did not say achievement. The examiner will say achievements. So in your response, they are expecting more than one. They will not say that in the question. So that is why question analysis, it is so fundamental, my dear learners. Let us move on. Now, what should you consider in a highly effective response? Whether you're writing formally or you're writing informally. How do you make sure that your response is highly effective? When we talk about a highly effective response, it is the response that is likely to score the what? The highest mark. My dear Form 5s, consider the what? The audience. Who is the recipient of what I am writing? The task, my dear Form 5s, will give you the what? The audience. For instance, they will say, write to your what? To your uncle. Write to the editor. Write to the what? To the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court. Look at these three different audiences. there is uncle, there is editor, there is Chief Justice. All these audiences, my dear learners, they are not the same. So you will not speak to your uncle the way you will speak to the what? To the Chief Justice. It's going to be different. There's one that is informal. There is one that is formal. So try to decipher the audience from the question. Identify the audience in the question before you rush to do what? To respond. Also, the audience here will dictate the what? The style of writing. Audience will dictate the appropriateness, my dear learners, of the content. What you're going to include in what you are writing. Things I'm likely to say to my uncle, I will not say to the Chief Justice. Things I'm likely to say to the Chief Justice, I will not say to my what? To my uncle. So appropriateness here is implied by the what? The audience that you are given. Then the audience will also determine the what? The choice of words that you're going to use. Oh, my dear Form 5s, you don't speak to your uncle the way you will speak to the what? To the editor. The audience is not the same. So even your vocabulary, even the choice of words, the manner in which you're going to say things, it must show the examiner that you're able to what? Differentiate between these audiences. Let us move on. What also do you need for a highly effective response? Number 2, identify the what? The purpose. Why am I writing? Again, the purpose will be implied in the what? In the question. The question will tell you what must be accomplished in this task. My Form 5s, do not ignore that. You must know the end product, what is expected from your end product. So the question may ask you to do what? To persuade. You're asked to advise. You're asked to motivate. You're asked to complain. You're asked to do what? To inform. So don't mix this. If the examiner is asking you to persuade, be persuasive in the manner that you are going to write, because that is the purpose of the task. Let's take these examples, my dear learner. Write a letter to MTN Swaziland and persuade the company to reduce the rates. MTN is not your friend. So you're going to be writing how? Formally. And the purpose is to do what? Is to persuade. The moment they give you the purpose now speaks to your what? To your mode of delivery. It speaks to the language that you're going to use. So the examiner is expecting those what? Those persuasive skills, because the purpose is to do what? To persuade. Another example, my Form 5s. You write a speech to be delivered to your classmates and you're doing what? You're motivating. Persuading and motivating. I'm being what? Motivational. I am what? I am encouraging my classmates. I am inspiring my what? My classmates. The purpose, my dear Form 5s, it is different from the first question where you are being asked to do what? To persuade. Another example. Write a report to the what? To the police rather, and inform them. That's the purpose. You are now doing what? Informing the police. You're going to give information. You're going to give what? Details to who? To the police. So it takes a what? A formal, informative what? Mode, because you are informing, my dear learners. What is key when you are trying to unpack the purpose? Your language and your content must push the purpose for the task. So the language there is your raw material, because I need language to persuade. I need content to motivate. I need language and content to do what? To inform. So your language must be appropriate. The content that you're going to include, what goes into a police report will not go into my letter to MTN, Swaziland. The purpose is different. The other one, I am persuading. The other one, you're doing what? You are informing. Make sure you understand, my dear Lena, what is the purpose of the task. Let us move on, my dear Form 5s. What else should a highly effective response have? It should have, or rather consider the what? The format. What is the structure of my writing? There is no writing, my dear Form 5s, that has no structure. You have to be orderly. You have to be, there must be some kind of chronology. There must be some kind of adherence to the what? The conventions of the genre you are writing. Let's take this example. A friendly letter. A friendly letter. It is expected, dear Form 5s, a friendly letter will have an informal greeting. For instance, how are you? You will not say, how are you? Probably to the CEO of MTN. You don't know him. So the friendly letter here, the format, that's what is expected from you. So the teacher, when your teacher is marking your script, you must show the characteristics of the genre that you are producing. You will not need the addresses and the dates and all of that, but the actual content of that genre must show that you as a student or you as a candidate, you know what goes into a friendly letter. And then the informal greeting will be probably followed by reference to previous correspondence. For instance, my friend, it's been long since we last saw each other. You are showing the what? The relationship. You have a relationship with your friend. There is a what? A conversational aura. There is a friendly aura between the two of you. Also, you may be asked to write a speech. A speech, my dear Form 5s, it will definitely acknowledge what? Protocol. You will not have a speech, a formal speech without what? Protocol. The students, the teachers, the school committee, the principal, the teachers, the school committee, and then the what? The students at large. There will be what? Protocol. The moment you present that protocol at the introduction, whosoever is reading that is able to tell this student is writing a what? A speech. So the characteristics, my dear learners, of the genre, they are very, very important. Conform to the what? To the format. It's not about the addresses and the dates. They don't score any marks. But we are looking for conformity even in the what? In the content. Do you know what goes into the introduction, for example, of a diary entry? This is another example now. So you must show the what? Your reader or your examiner that you understand or you know what goes into that genre. A police report. It will identify what? A place. It will identify people. It will describe the nature of the what? Of the crime. It will give what? Details. So the moment we say this, you understand the student here was writing a what? A police report. So make sure, my dear learners, when you attempt this question in exercise 1, in exercise 2, no, if I'm being asked to write a police report, go into the exam knowing what is enshrined in a police report. What is undergirded in a friendly letter? What makes a what? A good speech. Know that. Know the conventions. Know the characteristics. How do you introduce a speech? How do I develop the body of the speech? How do I do what? The conclusion of the speech. We shall do those things in lessons that are forthcoming. But the point I'm trying to emphasize here, Don't go blank. You must know, because that is what they are looking for, my dear learners. What else will make a highly effective response? It is a response, my dear Form 5s, that will consider the what? The tone. When we talk about tone, how is your attitude in your writing? There's no way you write devoid of what? Of attitude. There will be an attitude anyway. If you're motivating, the tone of the speech must be what? Motivational. If you are missing your friend, we expect, that reminiscent tone, that melancholic tone. You are yearning, you are pining for your what? For your friend. That is the attitude in your what? In your writing. Yeah. The choice of tone will be determined by the what? The subject matter and the audience. The subject matter that is in the task and the audience dictated by the task will tell you or will guide you on the tone that you're supposed to use, my dear Form 5s. So now, I want us to look at examples. If I say in my speech, I greet the people, and I say, distinguished guests, and then I say, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell the tone is what? The tone is serious. There is this dignity in it. So already, the way I have started the speech, I have what? I have given my reader the what? The tone of my speech. I am not just talking to what? To my friends here. These are dignitaries that I am what? That I am addressing. So now the tone is going to be serious. A tone can also be what? Optimistic. It will have that upbeat flair. It will have that soothing what? Sensation. I'm being optimistic about what I am writing. The tone can also be sad. So you're using words like miserable, using words like inconsolable. Everything here, my dear learners, the choice of the language that you choose, please, my dear Form 5s, be intentional. Don't just pick words anyhowly. The moment I have used miserable, I have used inconsolable, there is this doleful feeling in what I am saying. There is the sadness. There is this crestfalleness that I am feeling. And it's in your what? In your writing. A next example, my dear learner. Joyful tone. Words like, I feel ecstatic. Or it was ecstatic the last time we were what? We were together. The word ecstatic, you have what? You have given the tone already from the choice of that word. Or I felt so gratified. Or it was so gratifying to be what? To be together after such a long time. What tone is implied there? The person who's writing is happy. The person who's writing is joyful. There's some kind of exuberance, that he is demonstrating in what he is writing. Also, we can also have a complaining tone. You're writing a letter of complaint. The choice of the language, the tone, it must be what? Complaining. So you will have words like intolerant. You will have words like uncompromising. Here, even the choice of the language, my dear Form 5s, that you have used, it does do what? Echo the tone that you are, your attitude in the writing when you are responding. So make sure, don't allow your writing to be without that particular voice, that particular tone. Make sure in the way you pick the choice of your diction here, the choice of the language that you are putting in your writing. At the back of your mind, my dear Form 5s, you are clear with the tone. You are clear with the attitude that's supposed to be portrayed in what you are writing. Because remember, you are looking for the highest marks you can get. You have to be highly effective in your response, my dear Form 5s. What else should be in a highly effective response? The language register. What do we mean, Form 5s, when we talk about language register? Language register has to do with the what? The degree of formality of language. Every word, my dear Form 5s, that you use has levels in terms of informality and formality. So you can tell from the beginning of my presentation, I repetitiously mention language. Your vocabulary must, my Form 5s, it must be worked on. So level of formality of the language that you use. We have a what? A formal register. A formal register you will use when you are writing a what? A formal piece. You will use a formal register. Then we also have an informal what? Register. An informal register when you are writing a what? An informal piece. What will determine, therefore, my dear Form 5s, which register to use? What will determine that? Make sure the nature of the audience. Do not ignore, my dear Form 5s, the audience. If you are being asked to write to the editor, there is a certain what? A certain tone. There is a certain what? A choice of vocabulary that you are going to use. Why? You are mindful of your audience. So don't just get to the examination room. You look at the question. Oh, I'm just writing to an uncle. I will speak anyhow to an uncle. The words that you're going to use when speaking to your uncle, they matter when your script is what? Is being graded. You must show that we have a relationship with this person. How we are going to punctuate, how we are going to express yourself, the attitude, the voice in the what, in the words that you're going to use will what? Will show that you understand, my dear learner. So sense of audience there will guide you on the what? On the register. Which register to use? Form 5s, I want to caution you. Try not to go to the exam room having crammed. Oh, okay, exercise 1, this is what will come out. Exercise 2, this is what will come out. Try and learn the skills. Absorb the skills. Because what if the question now comes in a different way? This is the purpose for this exercise. So that you are able to identify for yourself that this question has a formal flair. The audience here, it's people I don't speak to every day. Now you tick. It sounds formal. The content here, I won't be just telling stories here. I must be giving what? Information. I must be giving details. I must be explaining things. You tick. It is what? It is formal. So you must, my dear Form 5s, know the difference between the two. And I hope today's exercise will help you note the difference. You go to the examination room, you know, as opposed to have crammed in your head. You know what's supposed to be in each of these different styles of writing. Remember, formal and informal, these are styles of writing. Know when to use which one dependent on the task that you have been given. I hope, my dear Form 5s, today's lesson was very helpful to all of you. And I want to wish you well as you continue with other lessons in the forthcoming days. I hope you are studying. I hope you are applying yourself. Yes, the situation is abnormal, but we have to excel even in this situation. So I wish you well. Over to you, Nogwazi.
Thank you very much, Winile, for that lesson. And we're hoping to see you again for more English language.
Definitely you will see me, Nogwazi.
Thank you so much. Viewers at home, please stay tuned. We will be right back after this.
Kids, wash your hands so you can come in and have lunch.
Okay, Mom. Tabo, apply some soap. You shouldn't just use water only.
But my hands aren't dirty, Nolwazi.
Just because your hands don't look dirty doesn't mean they're clean. We need to wash our hands regularly with soap and running water for at least 20 seconds, just like teacher taught us, so that all virus-causing germs and bacteria are washed away.
Tabo, listen to your sister, baby. It's important to always wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Like right now before we eat, after using the toilet, after touching animals, or after changing a nappy. We must also clean our surfaces and toilet seats with disinfectant.
Guys, it's time to wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands. Dirt and germs from stain and germs, germs bye-bye. First the water, then the soap, and you scrub all your palms, scrub your fingers till they're clean, rinse and dry.
Welcome back to our viewers. Unfortunately, that was the last lesson for the day. We're hoping that you had a wonderful Friday and are actually looking forward to the weekend. How was your day?
My day was interesting. It was really interesting, and I actually enjoyed the last lesson. Was it English language?
Yes, it was.
It was very interesting. Hey,
very interesting and very informative. It was. Yes, just to remind our viewers at home that we are live on YouTube and on Facebook from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And of course, do not worry yourselves. You have to ask us questions. You guys have been seriously quiet lately. Please ask questions that you might have for that particular subject. Anything that you want to add?
No, except that they have to ask relevant questions.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Relevant to the subjects being taught.
All right, we're going into the weekend. Have a bit of rest. Catch up on lessons that you might have missed on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV. Search for Home Study. And of course, do not forget to subscribe on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV, and to get notifications of when we are live.
Yep, we hope that you guys have a very fantastic weekend. Stay safe, stay clean, follow all necessary precautions, and we're hoping to see you guys again on Monday.
Of course, thank you to the team, thank you to the teachers, thank you Lerato.
Thank you too,
Thank you guys for tuning in, for watching us every single day. We will see you on Monday, 2 p.m. sharp. See you guys on Monday.
Okay, bye guys.